In Malaysia, there is a historical paradox. A community that represents less than a quarter of the country's population has maintained a remarkable presence in business, finance, manufacturing, and entrepreneurship for generations. They do not dominate the political system. They do not form the majority of the population. Yet they became deeply connected to one of Southeast Asia's most important private sector economies. But this story did not begin with wealth. It did not begin with privilege. And it certainly did not begin with any special ability encoded in a community. It began more than a century ago, when thousands of migrants crossed the South China Sea with little more than their labor, their networks, and the hope of survival. So how did a migrant population transform itself into one of the most influential commercial communities in Malaysia? The answer is not written in genetics. It is written in history. During the late 19th and early 20th centuries, waves of migrants from southern China arrived on the Malay Peninsula. Many came from regions such as Fujian and Guangdong, driven by poverty, political instability, and limited opportunities at home. They entered a colonial economy that was rapidly expanding through industries such as tin mining, rubber production, and international trade. But for many migrants, the social landscape was challenging. They had no inherited land, limited political influence, and little access to formal institutions. Most worked as laborers in mines, plantations, or small workshops. Yet for those seeking upward mobility, commerce became one of the few areas where personal effort could gradually translate into economic opportunity. To survive in an unfamiliar environment, migrants created their own systems of trust and cooperation. Without access to formal institutions, early migrants built their own community organizations, based on shared ancestry, language, and hometown origins. These networks helped newcomers find jobs, access informal credit, establish businesses, and reduce the risks of operating in a foreign society. Over time, different migrant communities developed different economic specialties. Some became involved in wholesale trade and property development. Others focused on food distribution, manufacturing, craftsmanship, and retail. These networks were not created because commerce was an inherent characteristic of a particular group. They emerged because, in a new land, trust became one of the most valuable forms of capital. Chapter 2: The environment that shaped a business. Voiceover. But how did this early merchant activity develop into a widespread commercial ecosystem? To understand that, we have to look at two distinct historical forces that shaped modern Malaysia. The first was the economic foundation built during British colonial rule. The colonial authority turned port cities like Penang, Malacca, and later Kuala Lumpur into major trading hubs for tin, rubber, and international shipping. Because migrants were concentrated in these urban centers, they naturally formed the early infrastructure of commerce, logistics, and private enterprise. The second and perhaps most decisive transformation occurred in the 1970s, following social tensions and economic disparities between ethnic groups. The Malaysian government introduced the New Economic Policy, or NEP. The policy was designed to uplift the indigenous Bumi Putera majority by expanding their role in the economy. It established quotas and preferences in university admissions, civil service positions, public sector employment, and corporate ownership. This policy succeeded in creating a growing indigenous middle class and transforming Malaysian society. But it also shifted the choices available to non-indigenous communities, particularly Malaysian Chinese, with access to government positions and state-backed institutions relatively limited. The capital, talent, and enterprise of this community flowed heavily into one main area, the open private sector. For many families, building a private business was no longer just one option among many. It became the primary path to financial security and social mobility. Deprived of a state safety net, survival required extreme operational efficiency, cost discipline, and market adaptability. Over decades, this created a self-sustaining private ecosystem spanning from small neighborhood grocers to multinational banking, real estate, and manufacturing corporations. Economic outcomes are rarely determined by the innate traits of any group. They are shaped by the strategies people adopt when responding to the historical rules of their time. Chapter 3: Malaysia's Asian Superconnectors. Narrator. Beyond historical and policy factors, Malaysian Chinese have developed a unique functional role in the broader regional economy. They have become what economists commonly call the connectors of Asian trade. In Malaysia's multiracial environment, through the firm persistence in Chinese language education, most Malaysian Chinese naturally grow into a trilingual group, Mandarin, English, and Malay. In the globalized economy, this language ability has become an extremely powerful asset. A typical Malaysian Chinese business executive can seamlessly connect three distinct business worlds, communicate with manufacturers and supply chains from mainland China or Taiwan in Mandarin, pitch to international investors and Western companies in English, handle local government regulations, logistics, and domestic market affairs in Malay. This ability to operate freely at the intersection of East Asian supply networks, Western financial systems, and Southeast Asian local markets has made Malaysian Chinese businesses an important node in international trade. Chapter 4: New Challenges in a Changing World. Narrator. However, the strategies that have worked well over the past century are now facing unprecedented pressure. The environment that built this business ecosystem is transforming in three key ways. First is demographics. Due to falling birth rates and urbanization, the proportion of Chinese in Malaysia's total population has continued to decline from nearly 40% in the mid-20th century to about 22% today. Second is brain drain. Every year, a large number of highly educated young Malaysians, including many Chinese professionals, emigrate to Singapore, Australia, Europe, and North America in pursuit of higher wages and broader career prospects. Third is technological disruption. The traditional business model built on family businesses, physical retail, and real estate is being disrupted by digital platforms, shifting global supply chains, and artificial intelligence. For generations, success has depended on interpersonal networks and in-person trust. In the coming decades, the challenge for the younger generation will be to adapt to an automated, borderless, and technology-driven global economy.